our station. It's time for our station, and I am super excited about this because it's one of the really programs we're running this Rotary year, the featuring mentorship program. I'm Hilder, Koriang. I'm the project chair for Zoli District 9214. And today we are going to have a session with two amazing panelists. I'll just go ahead and introduce the panelists we have today.
Hilda, I would suggest being our... What do you think?
Yes, Hilda?
I was suggesting we go through the Rotary norms first.
Oh, okay. Just a second. My network is really unstable right now. Just let me. So as I sit down,
as Hilda gets ready,
can you take us? Yes, can you take us through the Rotary norms as I just settle down and fix my network problem?
That's okay, Hilda. I'll just randomly pick on people who are online. So as we get ready, we could have Patrick from Mpanga Breeze to share with us the grace. And we shall have Joyce Joseph giving us the loyal toast. Then we can have Grace Msafiri from, this must be Dar es Salaam, I guess, Rotary Club of Dar es Salaam. You give us the forward test. Then Lawson from Kampala Wandegea will give us the goals of Rotaract. So Patrick, over to you for the grace.
Thank you, Retractor Prudence. Good afternoon, everyone. The grace, O Lord, and give of all good, we thank thee for our daily food. May Rotary friends and Rotary ways help us to serve thee all our days. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Joyce. Dear Joyce for the loyal toast. Okay. Looks like Retractor Edgar Joyce is not able to unmute, so I'd like to request Justina from Chinawataka to give us the loyal toast.
Let's toast to the good health of the President, to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda.
Okay, thank you very much, Justina. Not forgetting that this is a District 9214, we have Uganda and Tanzania. So we shall also propose a toast to the good health of the President of the Republic of Tanzania. To His Excellency, to Her Excellency, the President of the Republic of Tanzania. Thank you very much. Let us have Grace giving us the loyal toast. The goal, the forward test.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Lawson, over to you for the goals of Rotaract. Rotaract,
Yes, thank you. To develop professional and leadership skills. Second, to emphasize respect for the rights of others and to promote ethical standards and the dignity of all youthful occupations. Third, to provide opportunity for young people to address the needs and concerns of community and our world. Fourth, to provide opportunity for working in cooperation with sponsoring Rotary clubs. Fifth, to motivate young people for eventual membership into Rotary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for sharing with us the norms. Now I'm going to hand over the meeting back to Hilder to continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prudence. So we should, without wasting time, I'll just go ahead and we start the session. So start by introducing the panelists today. Prudence is the secretary of the district 914, and she's the one hosting us today. I will be moderating this session. I will share my screen. Just a minute. So today we are going to have two panelists taking us through leadership strategies for navigating the COVID-19 pandemic. I hope you can all see the screen. This flyer is being circulating, we've been sharing, and these are two wonderful and incredibly amazing leaders in different industries who will be sharing great insights regarding leadership during this pandemic. We are in a crisis. So we are going to learn a lot from each of them. One of them is Moses Rutahigwa, is the president of Kampala Sunrise Toastmasters Club and the head consumer, private and business banking at Standard Chartered Bank. And the other panelist is Dr. Lydia Mpanga, Sebuyira FRCC, Director Capacity Building Imprint Uganda Limited. I will be moderating the session. I'm Hilder. I run Associate of Enterprise of Upper House Uganda and also Project Chair Ruli District 9214. So I'll just share a bit of details about the panelists today. So Moses Rutahigwa is a well-balanced professional whose purpose is to use knowledge to help people discover meaning in life and be a better version of themselves. So he holds a master's degree in business administration from Rutahigwa University in UK. He recently completed the CEO apprenticeship program run by CEO Summit Uganda in Strathmore Business School, and is also a graduate of the McKinsey Management Program. He's also the president of, as I mentioned earlier, president of the Kampala Sunrise Toastmasters Club, this is a place that really empowers individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Moses is a husband, father, and spiritual leader who loves making a difference in the community. A bit more about Dr. Lydia. She's the director of capacity building at Uganda, a clinical assistant professor in the Department of Global Health, University of Washington, and an internationally certified executive coach. Her executive coaching practice in Uganda and Kenya funds leaders and managers at senior management and top talent in the private and health NGO sectors, especially in the context of culture or career change, leadership development, and maximizing individual potential. Lydia is responsible for business development of imprint training and coaching functions since 2015. That was since 2015. She's been the site facilitator for University of Washington's online certificate in leadership and management in health, and a lead facilitator for imprint bespoke leadership programs for corporate and NGO clients across Uganda and Kenya since 2012. She's an expert physician and teacher who has led world-class education and training programs at the Infectious Disease Institute of Makerere University and Hospice Africa, Uganda. She's a Ugandan member of the Academic Alliance for Care and Prevention of HIV in Africa. She holds 3 Oxford degrees, university degrees, a medical degree, a bachelor's degree in physiological sciences, and a master's degree. She's a fellow of the Royal College of Physicians in UK and holds an ALEC practitioner diploma in executive coaching with distinction in presentation of her coaching model. A bit more about Dr. Lydia. She's a certified user of program-led and LVI psychometric assessment and trained in ALCC's thematic team coaching model. Dr. Lydia is a member of the International Coach Federation. In addition to having over 19 years clinical, educational, and research experience in the UK, South Africa, and in Uganda, Dr. Lydia brings a wealth of leadership and management experience from her work in the health sector, both in public and NGO settings, in academia and the private sector. She has strong facilitator, mentoring, writing, and advocacy skills, and is experienced in curriculum and instructional material development. Dr. Lydia has facilitated successful women mentorship programs for corporate clients, including Coca-Cola, and is an expert facilitator of national and international dialogue and interactive strategic planning in intervention. So as a member of several government boards, Dr. Lydia has helped to develop the capacity of a variety of NGOs and private companies. These are our panelists today. You've seen they have a wealth of experience in leadership. These are great leaders in different sectors, in different industries. So this is how we're going to go about the session. We will have presentations from the 2 panelists. We are really excited to have you here with us. These are young leaders who are the leaders of today and tomorrow. And we are really excited to learn great insights from you. So we will have a Q&A session after this. So you can just drop the questions in the chat, and then I'll compile them, and after the session, we can have a Q&A session. Dr. Lydia, you're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much indeed, Hilder. And it's really nice to be with you today. When I hear that kind of introduction, sometimes I might feel a bit shy, so please bear with me. We're at home, we're enjoying the lockdown, as in being working from home. And thank you so much to Rotary Club and this district, Uganda and Tanzania. It's a real pleasure to join you. And hopefully we'll be able to share some of our personal experience as leaders, and basically to see how this enables us to navigate the pandemic. So I'm going to share with you my presentation. Just let me know as soon as you can see it. The other thing, you need to pray hard that the network keeps us connected. So here we go. Can you see my screen?
No, I can't see your screen, Dr. Lydia.
Okay, let's try again. Sorry about that. Okay, sharing the screen. Can you see it now?
Oh yes, now I can see it now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Here we go. All right then, so this is the, just to let you know who's speaking right now. Lydia. I've got many names, but I think let's stop with just those three. Mpanga is my father's name, Sebuyira is my husband's name. And I work at Imprint and as a director of capacity building, and also with the University of Washington in the Department of Global Health. So maybe you've already heard a lot about me, but I want to tell you in terms of my experience and my different spheres of influence, this is where I am. I work within Imprint as one of the directors, and therefore I'll be sharing a lot of my experience as a leader there, but I've also been a leader in different places. As a doctor, I'm no longer practicing as a practical doctor, but I love teaching in the health sector as well. So the other thing I love doing is mentoring women. So even within our church, which I belong to, for those who know Watoto Church, my husband and I are both leaders of the Marriage Fellowship. So that's another sphere in which we are leaders. So let me introduce my husband, Dr. Jeff Sebuyira Mukasa. For those of you who may know him, he is a Rotarian. So therefore, I'm actually a Rotarian. Jeff is a Rotarian in Rotary Club Kampala North, and we've been part of Rotary for many years. I can't remember how many, over a decade. We have 4 children, and we also love mentoring young couples, especially young married couples, people preparing for marriage. So when I say my spheres of influence include many, I think today I'll be sharing maybe from the professional. And I'd like to tell you something that's slightly unique about us is that Jeff, the gentleman on the left, is also my partner in business. We're both within Imprint, but we also have a family business called Talimwa. And our children are also directors in Talimwa. Talimwa has a farm, real estate, as well as consulting. So the consulting arm is what actually takes us into Imprint. So actually, Jeff is my boss. So even when I talk about this, I'm telling you about our shared experience. So let's think about leadership. There are so many different people who we love to read. And most of you will know that the #1 leadership guru in the world, John C. Maxwell, has written books, he's influencing many people. And what it says about leadership is that the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So we're thinking about influence. How do we get other people, or how can we help to shape what happens next? And as a leader, that is your role, helping to shape what happens next. I'd also like to bring another model that Steve Covey brought together, which you have seen, maybe the different circles of interest. So right in the middle, at the bottom here, is your circle of control, things that you can actually control yourself. So including your own behavior, how you react to things, your attitudes, your growth, your personal growth, everything, the decisions you make, all of this is within your control. A lot more is within your control. You make decisions that affect other people. So if it's not necessarily in your control, can you exert influence? And funny enough, that is where leadership comes in. So you can exert influence in your home environment. You may be the head of the home, in which case you're the leader, or you may be one of the adult children in a home, or maybe in your workplace. You may not necessarily be the top manager or leader, but you can exert influence at whatever level you are. You can influence upwards, you can influence, you know, to your peers, and influence those who report to you. So even your finances are within, you can exert influence, especially if you're married like I am. We share our influence over our family finance. But what about your family and your friends, your colleagues? Now, as a Rotaractor, I imagine that you have work that you're doing in the community that is influencing the lives of many others. And that's why you joined. You're growing yourself, but you're also helping to grow Uganda or Tanzania. So you can exert influence somewhere. And so we're going to think about how, as leaders, we exert influence. But another thing that a leader must do, look at the outer circle. That's the circle of concern, things that you're concerned about, but you can't actually control or influence them. These are things like, for example, right now, the spread of the virus. We may not necessarily be able to influence the spread of this pandemic across the globe or across Uganda. But what is in our control is getting vaccinated, following the SOPs, making sure that if we are positive, we self-isolate or we keep the social distance to make sure we don't infect others. Those things that you can do in terms of your own behavior. But those things that are outside of your circle of influence, as a leader, we need to keep an eye on those things, scan the horizon, see what's happening in the environment so that we can then take action within our circle of influence. One last thing I want to say about influence is that your circle of influence may be limited, but is there somebody else who's within your area of influence who has a bigger circle of influence? Those are the people that you need to network with, connect with, because as you connect with influential people and influence the influencers, then your circle of influence grows. And that's what it is to be a leader. Okay, so let's think about the strategies, the leadership strategies for navigating this pandemic. And there are three things that I believe a leader should be able to do. And that is, number one, provide direction. Provide direction. Number two, alignment. Create alignment with your people, everything else. And we're going to go into each of these. And number three, inspire commitment. Those are the three things, three tasks that as a leader you need to do. Strategies. How will you get to where you want to be? And we're going to look at how we actually first of all, get direction, how we get people aligned, and how we get them committed to move in the direction that you're moving in. And navigation, can you imagine if you were, let's say, the pilot of a plane, and the plane is going through turbulence. The pilot has all the data that is coming in to him or her from the dashboard and is now trying to navigate through this storm. And it's very important that you use everything that is within your control to help to navigate the pandemic. So let's have a look at these different things. Providing direction. You can imagine at the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm just going to share our experience. The first lockdown, there was fear in the air. There was, oh my goodness, everything is going to close down. Everything stopped. And yet we have a dream, and we had a dream for Imprint. Imprint is a capacity building organization. We work not just here in Uganda, but we work across the Eastern Africa. We grow people's potential. We help people to grow. So our dream is to be the preferred capacity building business partner in the region. And so that's our dream. We have goals. We've set ourselves goals in terms of the revenue we're going to make in this strategic planning period, or in the particular month or year. We have a dream, and we also have values. I just like to read out our core values, because it's the things that we hold dear. And when turbulence comes, we must hold on to our values. So as a leader, we need to provide direction, let people know where we're going and what are the things we're taking with us that are very important. So our core values at Imprint, we are Christ-centered. We ascribe to biblical business principles. Number 2, integrity. We are honest and we must be reliable. That should go without saying in the pandemic. Number 3, inspire. We believe that everyone can become something greater than they are now. That goes with us through the pandemic. Engage. We passionately work as a team. And I'll tell you a bit more about how we've engaged during the pandemic. And then excel. We strive to exceed our clients' expectations. So that means that even in the middle of the pandemic, we have to keep holding on to those values. We take them with us. Now, as a leader, what I need to do, the strategy, how do I get people to understand my dream and, adhere to our values? The biggest thing that we have, or the tool we have, is communication. How do we communicate? People need to know where we're going. At the beginning of the first lockdown, I remember thinking, hey, okay, yeah, we're all going to stay at home. The senior management team needed to meet so that we could then communicate a joint set of actions that we're going to take. It took us a while to, first of all, align in our minds how we're going to work, what we're going to do. And, people are waiting to hear from you. People are waiting to hear. And if as a leader you do not communicate, then people lose direction. You can see the gray arrows. Those people are flying all over the place because they're not quite sure where the leader is taking us. And if the leader is silent at a time of turbulence, then people start going all over the place. So first of all, we had to listen, because communication is mostly listen. So we found out from our staff, what are the things we're afraid of? What are we concerned about? Initially, even before the public transport stopped, people are concerned. You guys, we're sitting in these taxis, people are coughing in our ears, in our nose. We don't know how we'll be able to get there. Then we started thinking, oh my goodness, what about what's going to happen with the economic side of things? Our clients are closing shop and they won't be able to pay us. How will we pay salaries? So we're listening to all of these questions, and then we had to speak. You had to make very clear communications. In the first lockdown, our CEO, that's Jeff, after we'd meet as a senior management team, you then send out an email, a memo, also on the WhatsApp forum, which we have as a team, and say, these are the things we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. The people needed to listen and speak. Now, the lessons we learned in the first lockdown have actually helped us so much in this particular lockdown. Right now, as soon as we knew that the lockdown was happening, we already looked at the next thing, which is, after providing direction, creating alignment, making sure that everybody was going in the same direction. Everybody knew where we're going and how we're going to do it. So when you're aligning, number one, you have to align your people. Align your people, make sure we're all moving in the right direction. The reason I put this picture here, we're rowing boat, is that when I was at university in Oxford, I used to row in one of those boats that you can see here. There used to be 8 of us, and we'd row in competitions. Now, one of the things that we learned as rowers is that you need, all of you, if you can see the blades, those are the oars, and you can see the head of the blade that hits the water. You must all hit the water at the same time in order to pull together and move in the right direction. Now, if one of you is out of rhythm from the rest of the team, actually we get what we call catching a crab. That oar, that blade that you can see, there's a very heavy thing. It actually pushes you back and you're lying flat with this blade pulling your neck down. And it's very embarrassing, but actually it also pulls the boat over to one side and you start to lose the race. Everybody needs to be aligned. My role in the boat was, I was number 8, that is stroke. I had to set the rhythm. So I used to sing a song in my head that kept me going at the right pace, and then everybody else follows. If you're a leader, what is your internal rhythm? Align your people and make sure that your internal rhythm is clear for everybody to follow. What about the resources? Now, in the lockdown, we had to decide, our office is in Kamwacha. And I remember during the elections, people were thinking, you're right in the epicenter of where things might go funny. Yes, we used to get tear gas into our office. But during the pandemic, we very quickly realized people need resources in order to continue working from home. So some of us had laptops, but not everybody. Some people had desktops. Then you had to say, how do we get the desktops or the PCs to the people in their homes? Very quickly, after the first lockdown, we identified some 2 trusted border drivers. And these are the ones who actually distributed the different tools to your people, to our people, and make sure that everybody has it, what they need to work. Data is expensive. So we realized we have to put aside more data for everybody. And now we have systems, put the systems in place to ensure that everything is working. If your system's not aligned to where you want to go, you'll find you're just like those people in a boat where you catch a crab, things are snagged and slowed down. Now, as a young professional, you also need to learn to align with mentors, people who can actually take you forward and hold your hand and enable you as a leader to pull in the right direction. Mentors are important. Even us as mentors, the older people mentoring others, we also have to align with our mentees and see that they're actually going in the right direction. So look behind you and see who's following and pull them in the right direction together with you. Partnerships are very important. And just as our organization is small, with the 10 of us in the team, but we have realized that in order to win, you need to join with others, move together. So providing leadership in partnership is very, very important. Clarify your roles, who is doing what, who's going to move things forward. So all of these things are very important, alignment. Now, the third thing that you need to do as a leader is inspire commitment. I love this quote from the Bible, Deuteronomy chapter 7. It says, good leaders model commitment before they ask anyone else to do so. You are a role model to the people that you lead. That means we need to walk the walk. Now, literally, we live about 8 kilometers away from the office. Our office has remained open through both lockdowns because we have 2 of our staff who live very close to the office. They go in on certain days, and on Mondays, we have our special meetings. Now, on Mondays, Jeff, who's our team leader, walks from Mutungo to Kamwacha, and he's there, at least on Mondays, sometimes second or twice a week, or even 3 times a week. Now, he is committed, and people know he's committed. This week, we're running a project. And by the way, funny enough, a lot more work has come in during this time than we expected. And we realized that as a team, we need to work closely together. So one of the things that we have had to do is our team meetings, which we usually have in person if we were in the office, we have now put them online. One of the important things for us is check in with your people. First thing, find out, is everybody okay? COVID has affected us, all of us. Either we ourselves getting sick, and Jeff and I have both come through COVID, thank God for that. But some of us have lost relatives. 2 of us in our team lost brothers in this period. It is not easy. So always check on your friends, check on your colleagues. Even before you ask for the next deliverable, first thing, how are you? And I think that the pandemic has actually taught us as generally as people to connect as people. So check on each other, but walk the walk. Inspire those around you. So Jeff walks, and the other day he had to ask one of our team members, because we have an urgent project coming in, please walk. And unfortunately, that gentleman had to walk kilometers to get to work. But he walks knowing that Jeff has also walked. So you cannot ask people to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. So that's very, very important. So I want to leave us with a few things. How can we prepare ourselves to be great leaders, to be the kind of leaders that people will follow? And one of the things that we've learned in this pandemic is we have to face brutal facts. Now, the first time I had a lockdown, we decided we were going to keep everybody on full salary. And yes, we had some projects that we were doing, but actually life slowed down a little bit. And at that point, we realized when we came back into work that some of those projects had stalled, but yet people were still working full time. Now, when you think about staff productivity, a small business like ours and maybe a big business like my colleague from Standard Chartered, you still have to think, how are we going to make ends meet as a business? How are we going to make sure that our people are still productive? And one of the brutal facts we had to face this time around is that, you know what, if we don't have enough work, we're going to be working 3 days a week only. 3 days a week, each person, yes, on full salary, but take the other 2 days as your leave. When leave runs out, then you'll still just be doing 3 days a week. But every time, if you needed to do the extra 2 days, then you have to call into senior management team and say, you know, I need these 2 days because I'm doing X, Y, Z. Then we have to hold each other accountable. We have those difficult conversations. On a weekly meeting Monday morning, when we talk, I said I was going to do this last week. I did it, or I didn't, and why, and what kind of help do I need from others? If you keep quiet and you suffer alone, especially now that we're working in different places, you find that work does not get done and people get disengaged, and it's not good. And then you have to have the difficult conversation of telling somebody, you know what, I do not see the product that you promised. We lost one of our team members in the last lockdown. And part of it was actually the holding the person accountable. Sometimes that fire is not easy when somebody said, but you said, okay? The third thing that we've had to do is to grow the leaders around us. If you're a leader, you have to ensure that the people around you are also leading, providing direction, alignment, and commitment. How do we grow the leaders around us? In Imprint, I'd like to say a huge thank you, first of all, to Darius Nkwasiwe, who also invited me. Darius is an alumnus of Imprint. He started before he left what we call the Imprint Academy. We meet on Tuesday mornings, we study a book, a great business leadership book, and then we try and apply that within our setting. Now, we've done many, many books, but one of the books that really influenced us most was the 4 Disciplines of Execution by Steve Covey. Now, that book has really, 4DX, has really helped us. And in creating those cycles of accountability, we have realized that we're growing. Sorry. So maybe what I can say that it helped us to do our new strategic plan. We have grown the leaders around us. We actually set up business units within Imprint, and we have leaders for each of those units. Now, as a leader, you have to challenge those people to pick up leadership, step up to leadership, which means things that were being done by the CEO should now be done by the business unit leaders. Start thinking strategically, start planning and marketing, start getting out there and meeting people and bringing in business, okay? So grow the leaders around you, because we are not growing any younger. We need to bring in the next generation of leaders. Lastly, look after yourself. A very influential leader in my life was my previous boss, and he told me, you know what, all these millions that we're trying to earn in your salary, okay, let's say you earn a salary of 1 million. Take away the 1, it becomes 0. And the 1 in your life is your health, your physical health, your mental health, emotional, social health, all of these things, the spiritual health. Keep growing as a person. Because if you're not growing, then also the people you're leading will get stunted. Develop some tiny habits, some routines that help you to keep active. Do some exercise, pray, read the Bible, or whatever holy book you read, study, go beyond your degree or your diploma, get something that stretches your mind. And lastly, be adaptable, because leaders lead change. Leaders manage change. So you need to adapt to the new normal. So thank you very much. I hope you remember those three things: provide direction, get your people aligned, and inspire commitment. Prepare yourself to do what you have to do. So are you prepared? Have you positioned yourself? And are you persuasive in the way that you communicate with people? I hope you are. And I want to say thank you so much to Darius, to Hilder, and Moses. And may God bless you all. I think I'll hold on. Maybe the questions will come later. But there we are. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share with you.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Lydia. This is amazing. This is fantastic. There are so many leaders who are joined in. There are Rotaractors who are leaders in the different Rotary clubs. There are leaders in the Rotary club, and there are guests here who are leaders in running their own companies, their own NGOs, and I think they are gaining so much knowledge from this session. So thank you so much for the fantastic presentation. For the question, like I said earlier, just let us know in the chat. Just type your question in the chat, and then at the end of the session, then we can have a Q&A session after the next presenter. Thank you, Dr. Lydia. Now, Moses, the floor is yours. You're welcome to share.
Thank you so much, Lydia. Dr. Lydia, you've done very good justice to the subject, and thank you so much. Hilder, confirm you can hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and a pleasure being here this afternoon to discuss on a very important subject, which I believe speaks to all of us about leadership in, I would say, these challenging times. I don't call them times. I believe they're challenging times. But to begin with myself, I am Moses Rutahigwa, and I work at Standard Chartered. I've been with the bank for 12 years. Looks like a long time, but I believe just only 10, 11 years ago when I joined, and looks quite short for me because it's been a busy time. On top of that, I spend a lot of my time with a team that shares the same passion like the people on the call. And I believe the subject we'll discuss today will be key to talk about how we've managed to deal with the pandemic, not just at a company level, but also in our individual lives, because as Rotarians and as guests, we have lives where we've been able to go through. But allow me begin this particular foundation with a thought that I picked from Vince Morarano when he writes about the leadership contract. And he gave 4 subjects about what a contract for a leader should be. The first one is that leadership is a decision. It's a decision that you have to make. At times we find ourselves in positions because you've been appointed a leader, or you found yourself born in a particular family because you're a leader. However, you have to make a decision at one time to lead or not to lead, and then the nature will take course. The second one, leadership is an obligation. It's not mean fit to lead, and I know all of us are leading either as individuals in our companies, in our NGOs, in any place where you are a leader, including in a family. You have leadership structures which we are aligned to, and you have to be able to make that obligation and align to it and be able to step up your level of leadership. The third one, the leadership is hard work, get tough. When the time comes for difficult decisions, do you make them or do you shy away? Or when times get tough, do you give up or you choose to stand strong and possibly bring your best at play in those times? And the final one, the leadership is a community, because you can't lead alone. By being here listening to Dr. Lydia, I learned quite a lot, and I believe from the team that is on the call, we're able to have interactions and learn from one another. So do we get out and connect more, or how do we able to utilize the network that we have to be able to have the people we do better? Allow me to begin from what we went through as an individual and also as an organization. I would say April last year was a difficult time for many people because suddenly, all of a sudden, we found ourselves at home, never been before, never had time to sit at home. Some of us for a short time, even for, I know for men who are on the call, a week would be too much time at home, but you're in a lockdown. The same way at a business, I believe most businesses were standstill. Some of them had nowhere out to be able to adjust and be able to push themselves to another level. Any one of us, whichever sector you're in, I must say the last 18 months have been unique, never experienced before. And they make us then to reflect on what do we do different and what comes out of this. But there are three things that came out very key for us. First one was a real shakeup. As an organization, we have been building ourselves to be a digital organization where our customers can be served digitally. And we had all these different marketing gimmicks that talk about digital. But when the reality sets in, then you begin to check, this is missing, that is missing, this is missing, this is missing. And which I believe happened to all of us in every organization. You discover there are now gaps, that things you didn't discover that actually were there, you didn't know were there. Now they become vivid because every tough situation exposes weaknesses in the system that we have. I know we've defined COVID as a time that impacts our pre-existing conditions, but even in our own different models, the last 18 months were able to expose those pre-existing conditions in your business model, in your leadership structure, in your team, in your product, in anything you're doing. Those were brought to real life. So that test, I believe all of us went through it. And even as an organization, definitely, we were tested significantly. The second one was to make that realization that actually things have changed, not to remain the same again, but to be able to realize that this curve has shifted. Being part of a global organization was an advantage to learn from our teams in China and part of Asia, who went through the pandemic much earlier than us. And therefore, they were able to have that early experience that we can lean on and learn from. And however, when it came to Africa, the approach was different. Maybe they are far in terms of technology, ours is not. Many of us in our country here, we have different structures, either in terms of capabilities and what enables people to be able to work remotely was not possible. If you had in your company, maybe you had 40% reach for work from home. Now you had to do 90% in a short time of 1 week. That's a very, very, very short time to adjust. And therefore it had to test everything we're doing. So we had to realize that the ship had moved, and therefore we could not stay to the same things that were there before. Then the third thing we had to do was to make that choice on how do we go ahead? Do you remain in the same experience, same level, or do you go to the next level? What are the decisions you need to take now that are able to help you build ahead? So what we did sometime in July last year, we sat down and evaluated our business model, and we discovered that the business model we had before and the one after were different. It had to be more lean, preferably less physical, and I would say at times able to reach the customer much faster than you would do before, because you no longer have the liberty that we had before. So we had to reflect on our model, and we took what we call like a reset. And we chose to make a hard decision to reset our model in July, review our network, our physical network. For many of you who know Standard Chartered, we had around possibly maybe 10 branches by that time. Look for what is the future of your customer and make that decision. So we made a choice to focus on a model that's able to be lean, and we shrunk that to 3 branches. That's a very tough time to do in just such a very short time. And the second thing that we had to do was to then ensure that wherever the customer is can be reached in a much simpler way. Therefore, triple your investment in technology so the customer can be able to be accessed in any single step, in anything, wherever they are. So we had to, 1, shrink our distribution network, triple the investment in technology, and ensure that whatever the customer can do, can be able to access it wherever they are. That is a very short time to do these things, and requires that you have leaders who are determined, who are willing to make the hard decision when the time comes in, and are able to stand and work with the client in such a time that they're able to keep fixing and improving, but knowing that there's no going back, but you can only move forward. So we made that call, and I must say, when I look at how we have been impacted in this lockdown, totally different, because the decisions we made 10 months ago have now proved to be right, because they were more forward-looking and much better. And we've seen that in the area, of course, every time you make a hard decision as a leader, there will be some constraints, there will be some lessons. But are you willing to learn from those experiences and be able to keep fixing and moving forward, or you will back down because you're not strong in the decision? Remember the 4 things I talked about, but the third one was leadership is hard work, get tough. You have to be able to be tough to make those tough calls when the tough time comes. So we had to make that, and we look back and say, I believe that was the right time to make that choice, to ensure that the business is able to remain forward-looking, and as leaders, we're able to stand firm when time calls for that. But then a business is one thing, all of us are individuals. What choices do you do as a family or as a person, as a person to ensure to be able to remain relevant and grow ahead? I made a choice and I discovered that our schools will struggle for some time. And I told my family we'll model to have study from home facilities, buy gadgets, everything children need to learn from home, and make the model farm. Even when schools reopen, ensure that your family as a home, you're able to remain servicing, having the people, the family learn more effectively. As I talk in lockdown, my children are doing online classes, uninterrupted, because the model we made and agreed upon last year has transcended much more. But the last thing that I believe that is key, that came out key, was leave out the business, begin with yourself. Because all of us, whoever we are, the last few months tested whether we are credible leaders, whether we're built on purpose, whether we can withstand shakings, or whether we can be able to pivot ourselves. So I took a personal journey guided with the leadership from my favorite coaches to discover, who am I? How can I withstand such challenges? If a business can be shaken, then even me too, I need to be standing in case I can be shaken. And from the realization, it came very strong that as a family and as people, we have an opportunity to make those choices and stand to define who we are. In my presentation, I shared with you about my purpose, still developing, but what I came through sometime last year. So sorry, I think I'd had a challenge. Hope you can hear me now, Hilder.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, thanks. As I wrap up, so what I picked that I believe is key is redefining who you are, identifying the things that you have been protracting, you've been holding back, and accelerating them. I discovered leadership was more about learning more than before, and I adopted a culture of learning. I must say now every single month I read minimum 3 books. So for the last possibly 24 months, I have had a significant number of books I've added on, which is improving. Just a second. Sincere apologies for that. So I had to spend some time to be able to improve personal learning. And I believe that's something I will leave for all of you. Do you discover who you are? Can you use these times to discover your passion, what drives you? What things did you do to remain strong as a leader and effective? I believe learning has been key for me as a person. And I believe that is one of the things that is taking me from one level to another. The second thing is to find new passions. I now do at least close to 100 kilometers of running every week. When I was discussing with my colleague at the Exco, and he said these words that came out very key for me, that when I look at you 12 months ago and 12 months now, I see an evolution of a person. And this is from a colleague, because possibly last year I could struggle to run even 10 kilometers in a week. But now if you can do 100, that's so that you've just gone 10 times more than what you're doing before. As a person, can you find new passions? It could be running, it could be walking, it could be, it could also be cycling for those who do. Whatever you do, find new passions to remain active as much as possible, and then use them to learn and reflect. When I'm on the road running, I think about leadership. I come back at home, I write down my next blog, I write down my next topic of Toastmasters. I look for some other things. And the final one which I picked, I joined Toastmasters same time in July last year, because I discovered that I needed to connect as a leader and be able to find other like-minded leaders that are able to spur and challenge me from my comfort zone. So I would leave that with all of you as leaders. Are you able to also connect with more groups of leaders who are able to challenge you and make you better? And I believe by being here, you're fulfilling that and keep expanding and doing a lot more on. I will pause there and then we're able to take in the Q&A as we go ahead. Thanks, over to you, Hilder.
Thank you so much, Moses, for this wonderful presentation. I don't know, can you hear me clearly? A few members have been saying that I'm not very clear. I think my network is also not good this afternoon. So thank you for that wonderful presentation, Moses. So these are very difficult times right now, especially for leaders. Thinking about how to pivot, how to re-strategize, how to think different ways of doing business, and how to toughen up. Just like you said, you have to really be tough to make the tough calls. It's not easy to make a tough call. You have to toughen. And in this pandemic, just like you said, everything you had to re-strategize. You had to think about how to do business differently. I think this is what every leader on this platform is thinking right now. I think this is very timely presentation from you and Dr. Lydia, so that we can go back and think about if it's Rotary, if it's Rotaract, if it's a company you're running, if it's a non-profit you're running, if it's just a small community at home, if it's just a family, because we are leaders everywhere. From household level, you are a leader at home because maybe you have siblings, or you have a spouse and children. You have every step of the way, because there are levels. You can start from family level, the community, to your workplace, and as you grow as an individual, how do you then navigate through a crisis like this? So this is really powerful, because I could relate to it, because sometimes when you wake up, you are thinking, okay, how do I be strategic? How do I do things differently from every single level? How do I inspire my team to think differently and adapt and pivot very fast? Because it's not easy to be thrive in a crisis. It changes you. You become different. You think faster, because you have to think fast to keep up with the rest of the world, keep up with everyone else. Your competitors, if you're in business, your competitors will also be thinking fast. So a crisis really changes who you are. You become more innovative. So it just wakes you up from your comfort zone. It was supposed to grow. You really have to get out of the comfort zone. So this is really very timely. Thank you so much. So without wasting time, I'll just we're going to go into a Q&A section. You can just direct the question. You can just you can unmute. Before you unmute, you can raise your hand, or you just type and we read the question from the chat. So there were some of some of the comments in the chat before we go to the questions. Someone say, thank you so much, Madam Lydia, for the awesome presentation. Thank you, Coach Lydia, for the good presentation. May we provide direction, ensure alignment, and inspire commitment. So people, everyone here is listening and they are taking in the lessons. This is impactful. So we are going to share the presentation after this session. Please, you can just share with us your email address. I've seen people are sharing the phone numbers and the email addresses so that you can share the presentation with Sister Lydia. We've also recorded and will be available. We email it to you. I'm just going through if there's any question. So does anyone, you can just unmute, does anyone have any questions? I've not seen any in the chat yet. Just feel free and ask. You have the opportunity to get answers from some of the most resilient, amazing leaders like I've come across. Moses and Lydia are really amazing. Moses, I also attended the session today where Moses was one of the evaluators for public speaking. So these are some of the great leaders who are willing to empower and inspire young leaders. So just feel free. And someone said, always clear, no questions from me. Any other questions? Okay, let me go to someone else. Darius. Yes, Darius, I can see your hand is up. Please unmute and go ahead and ask the question.
All right, thank you very much, Hilder, for the opportunity to ask. And before I ask, I would like to appreciate Dr. Lydia and Moses for the wonderful insights that they have shared with us. Really, really helpful in such a time. My question goes to Moses, but I know even Lydia can help to respond to it. Moses, in your presentation, you mentioned a couple of things that you're doing and some hobbies that you've picked up to keep you afloat in this pandemic. You talked about running 100 kilometers a week. You talked about reading 3 books a month. I also know that you're the president of Kampala Sunrise Toastmasters. You're also part of the exco of a very big bank. Where do you find time to get all these? What tips can you give to us, especially young people, who sometimes say that we are busy, therefore we don't have time to exercise, we don't have time to read, we don't have time to learn? What tips do you have for us, and what can we copy from you so that we can get better? Thank you.
Thank you, Darius. I think I missed adding 2 things that I am a pastor in my other life. So great to hear from Lydia, Dr. Lydia today and see what they're doing in the church. Also, I take some time to do writing. So possibly one of my writings will be able to address this question in detail, because it has come up several times on how you manage to balance different approaches. And generally speaking, today's world is pivoting us towards focusing on fewer things. I have spent time reading a lot of the Greek writers And there's a lot more emphasis, especially most of the Asian writers speaking a lot more on stillness. I'm a big fan of Ryan Holiday, whose focus on, can you do fewer things and do them well? However, the challenge that the world we live in today is quite dynamic, and there's a lot more on your table. You're a mother, you're a parent, you're a wife, you have a big career job, you have to balance and connect with other friends and leaders, and all these things come to you. And the need to balance them, I think, becomes very, very important. And so that's a very critical question, Darius. But I think the first thing which I felt was, which came to me as I was 12 months ago, I had a similar challenge because I felt there were too many things going on at the same time. And definitely the chances of burnout would be very key. And I made a decision to have a personal weekly planner where I put particular time for particular activities and try to build discipline towards them. If I'm going to do a run, it has to be 6:30 in the morning until 8:30, I should be on my desk work until 5:30. 5:30 from onwards, I should be in a meeting. I have a particular sleeping time and a specific waking up time. Preferably 9 p.m. and bed, 4 a.m. You'll have had around close to around 7 hours of sleep, which I think is very good time recommended. So I would actually recommend that you have a personal schedule and try to stick to it. I know it's not easy, but as you build discipline around it, I think you find it important. However, in everything you do, there are some things that you should never compromise. And the order of things that you do in life begins, one, with God. Have time to have a relationship with God in whichever religion you are is very important. But number two, family. You can never compromise family. Therefore, you should give time to family. I now work more from home, which gives me time to have time with the kids. We share the breaks together, possibly do an evening, do fellowship every single evening as a family, small interaction. Those things, I don't compromise on them. And then the third one, which I believe is key, then is your health, because if you're not healthy, then you can't be able to make that able to last long and be able to work hard, because many of us know that sickness is not a very good position to be in, and therefore health becomes key. Number four is about giving time for creativity and ideation, and then finally is money. Now, normally we bring money as number one, and the rest follow. So don't compromise that order. Therefore, give more importance to time with God. Time with your family should never be compromised. And you can also spare time for yourself, because if you're not fit, you can't do anything you're doing, you want to do. And then finally, number four, give some time for creativity and ideation. And then the final you need to make money, because if you don't have money also, things won't move. So prioritization is the key tip, the key thing I would give to everybody. And the second one I would add on, maybe Dr. Lydia can add on, is on having mentors who guide you. Mentorship is a very critical value, who help you correct, I'll say mentorship and coaches, who help you correct when they feel you're going away, you're going astray. Either you're focusing on petty things in your office that you should leave your managers to be able to handle, or you're not allowing yourself to delegate accordingly. Therefore, you're sticking with so many things on your desk. Yet some of them you can be able to give them away and allow your teams to be able to do them, and give you and free you to give you time to focus on more important matters that do concern you. So I focus on prioritization as much as possible, and then mentorship as number two. Thanks, Darius.
Thank you so much, Moses, for that. So this, I have a question for Dr. Lydia. So Dr. Lydia, when I went through your CV, your accomplishments, I was really I was inspired. I was blown away. So this is my question. So as a female leader, as a woman in a high leadership, in a high level leadership position in different sectors in your industry, so how do you balance this? because you have these achievements, and then you also have to focus, because you are a woman, you have to focus on the family, you have to focus on your career, you have to focus on your spiritual life. So how do you balance all this three, and is it that you thrive in only one, or you try to be great at all of them? So I think the young women in the platform will also be it will be really nice to let them know how you managed to balance all this over the years as a woman, as a leader in the industry.
Thank you very much, Hilder. Now that's a tough one, hey? I think as a lady, it's very important to know that your life has seasons. We have seasons. When I was a younger woman, before I got married, all I had to do was really look after myself, study, excel at whatever I was doing, get involved in church. I was a leader in the university in terms of the Christian Union, but also other things. So I had different things. What I learned is you have to juggle. You have to learn how to juggle. But from my personality, I must tell you this, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, which means I want to do things really well. So Hilda, sometimes you find yourself burning the midnight oil in order to get things right. And that's one of the things that I've had to learn, and coach myself, and others have also helped me coach me, that it doesn't have to be, every little thing has to be perfect. No, excellence is actually doing your best and then moving on to do the rest as well. So the balance in my different seasons, let's say I'd just gotten married, and there's a space of about 5 or 6 years when I was either pregnant or breastfeeding continuously, all right? And at that point, I was also trying to do a PhD, and I was holding a position in hospice where I was a director of one department. I was moved to another department before it replaced me. So I was actually overseeing 2 departments. So you're married, you've got 3 young children, one of them is on your breast, the other 3 are sort of under 5, and you're trying to manage yourself. And I got to that point where I had to actually take stock because my health suffered. I had to take stock and decide, all right, what drops off from all of these things? And with the help of a coach, and I must tell you, actually find a coach. There's some coaches on this call. Find a coach who can actually help ask those questions, which are tough. And the person who was helping me at that point in time said, okay, write down all the things that you do and actually grade each of them in terms of how much joy you get out of them. So I had to put in things like budgeting. That one was like negative joy. Singing and music, wow, a lot of joy. Family, a lot of joy. My work, I love being with patients and teaching, a lot of joy. But there's certain things that were taking more of my time that were taking out joy. And then when it came to thinking, prioritizing and deciding, okay, Lydia, you still have to be the president of the Palliative Care Association of Uganda. Can somebody else take over? I've been a president for 7 years. So I realized, you know what, I can actually say that I'm not going to stand again. Let somebody else take over. So that went. My PhD, I had to actually let go, but continued the research that I was doing for my PhD. We have now published many papers out of that research. So I'm not a doctor, I'm a doctor, okay? So you decide what can I take out? But importantly, in the seasons, you need to realize that when your children are small, they need you to be there to shape. So we actually had our children at school in a day school. So we're seeing them every day. And there was a time when my husband had to make a decision of coming back from Kenya, where he was based, and come back while the children are still young and able to know him. We put our office in our compound so that they come back from school and they know that mommy and daddy are just down the road and we can see them. But they also give us feedback. Mommy, you're in the office for too long. So right now our kids are grown. They are all of them beyond teenage. The youngest is in S6. So it's a different balance. We have 2 of them at home right now with us in the lockdown. And it's a different thing. They're adults. They know how to run their life, but we still get together as a family. So I must say, as a woman, my leadership roles in the marriage fellowship, in church, my leadership role at home, at work, all of them I have to balance, get the time. And I saw what Moses was saying, find time in your life, in your day, to do something of those things. If you ignore your family will really suffer for it, especially your husband and your kids. Your siblings, don't forget them, because when you have issues, you'll be calling on them. So do something, make sure every day you have done something in your different spheres of influence, and sleep at some point.
Yeah, I like that one, and sleep at some point. Then the other question is, have you had to compromise on one of them? Not your career. Have you had to compromise on family at one point to focus on your career? And how did you handle that?
That was a tough one. I must say that some of the things that I've compromised on are time with my children, in terms of being there for them every day after work for homework and things. There was one time I was in the middle of giving a lecture at IDI where I was working, and I got called by the school, your son is still here at school, and it was coming to 6. And I got so worried because he should have come home by bus, but he didn't. So handling those things, you feel guilty, I must say. There are times when you feel guilty, but I also make sure that we make up for it. So now our children are in different places. We are trying to communicate even more. So my daughter is at the moment, she's trying to get into medical school. We have a WhatsApp group, and we sit and we talk. And yesterday she told me, Mom, you're an untapped source. I didn't realize that I could have asked you all these questions all this way along. So yeah, it's a tough one. Other things that sometimes suffer because of our career, the greater family. You may not attend all the weddings you wanted to attend. Sometimes because of your financial issues, you may not be able to contribute everything you wanted to contribute. Yeah, so you compromise on some of those things, but there are certain things I will not compromise on. And one is my marriage. And number 2, I will try and make sure that my kids have what they need. And if what they need means that I have to maybe step down from something, I'll step down from it. It's not easy, but I've learned to put first things first.
Okay. Does anyone else have a question? I just have one last one. Sorry, I have so many questions for you. So just one last one for Dr. Lydia. And then in regards to mentorship as a young leader and as a woman, do you need more than one mentor for different aspects of life, or you just get one to help you navigate through these different aspects: leadership, your career, your spiritual life, your family, your marriage? Because I believe family and marriage are different. So as a leader, do you need different coaches for different things, or you get confused, or you just need one?
Okay, I think in your question, there's the answer, that our lives are multifaceted. And a mentor is usually somebody who's been there, done that, somebody who may be older or more experienced than you, that can actually give you advice and walk the journey with you, and maybe open doors for you that you couldn't open for yourself. So the idea that you can have one mentor who can mentor you in all those areas, I think is a little bit unrealistic. So what you need to do is to, first of all, sit down, do the reflection, find out where are the areas that I want to grow. Now, at this point, it may be your career, your professional move. So you need somebody who's actually maybe in the field where you want to be. Find those people and ask them if they ask them for mentorship. Now, when you approach a mentor, don't just say, can you mentor me? No, you need to actually ask them clearly, I would like to grow to become, let's say, for my fellow pastors, I'm not a pastor myself, but I saw Moses as a pastor. You may want your church to grow from a certain size to another. So you speak to somebody who's also a pastor, and you say, how did you do yours? What are the lessons you've learned as you've gone along? So you're saying, I need you for this particular aspect of my life. And I would be grateful if we could meet, and then you even start thinking about how often you're going to meet. Your mentor is not going to do the work for you, so you need to also come with a plan, or maybe your mentor can help you as you develop your own personal plan. So have more than one mentor. I think that's very important. In our marriage, for example, we have worked with what we call accountability couples, people who are either older than us in marriage or who, you know, we respect. And those couples have been, to us, have helped us to navigate, especially those difficult turning points. Jeff is given a job in South Africa, which is growing his career. Lydia is just about to be promoted to director of hospice. So now what do we do? Initially, because Jeff had been moving and I had just, you know, my life had sort of kind of come on hold, we decided ourselves that now it is Lydia's turn. But that meant Jeff would have to give something up. So we went to an accountability couple, our friends, and they said, have you thought of asking Coca-Cola, the ones who were transferring Jeff to South Africa, have you thought of asking them to look out for something that Lydia can do? We hadn't thought of that. And so we went back to them and we said, you know what, if Lydia is going to move, she also needs to do something in South Africa. So actually they also helped to organize an interview for me in a hospital. I organized my own interviews. So in the end, when we went, I actually had the part-time job. So those people work with you. So find mentors, be very intentional about it, and don't waste their time. So if they say, let's meet on a certain day, meet on that day and do your homework.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Does anyone else have a question? So I have one more question for Moses. So you told us that now is the time to sit back, reflect, and think about how to align your goals with your purpose, if I understood what you meant. So what are some of the tips for young leaders? How can they do this during the crisis when they're going through so much? When they're going through so much in this pandemic, they're losing jobs, because it's a bit difficult to kind of keep pivoting when you are going through mental health issues. You've lost a job, you don't know how to start. So how can you accelerate this kind of growth, because you are growing, you are pivoting, you are aligning everything internally? So how can young people really do this?
Thank you so much, Hilder. And I think that's a very important question, especially how we allow adversity or times of challenge take us away from what we should be. And at times, of course, all of us as leaders, when you're going through tough times, the tendency to focus on the problem is common, so that you can focus on, can I get a job? Can I get something to fix as a short-term approach? And it's not just, it's a norm across all of us. Let me just give you my personal reflection, and so possibly you can be able to relate to this particular story. I grew so fast in my career. In the space of like 10 years, I grew so fast and I discovered I was at the top. In such a very short time, in the space of like 5-6 years, I got 7 progressive jobs in like 8 years, and I found myself at the exco. Then now all of a sudden you have to catch up with the leader you should be, because you have not given time yourself to go through the process and allow it to nurture you, to mold you. And I had to look for mentors. I had to look for defining purpose later than I should have done in the beginning. Now that's different from somebody who has a problem, and then the problem forces them to think different. So in all situations, whether in success or in difficult times, you have to take a time to pause and ask yourself, who am I? Why am I here? What am I meant to achieve here? If I died today, what will be remembered about me? What will people talk about me? what do I do now that will make people remember me 5, 10, 15 years at that time? So at one time, somebody called Moses ever lived. So either in times of trouble or in times of success, all of them require to do a reset. So I want to avoid draining it on in times of trouble. So what do you have to do? The tendency to believe that challenges we have today will be permanent is possible. But however, every situation will pass. And good to hear from people like Lydia, when they hear their story, they will tell you the experience they've had to go through some tough times. These times come and pass and go. Who remains? It's you who remains. You remain the person that you are unless you work on yourself. So it's good actually in tough time, took some time, it's the best time actually to reset, because there, whatever you do, anything you do will be an incremental benefit on who you are as a person. So I would actually think it's the right time to do it. Sit down, reflect. Why am I here? What do I love most doing? I want to use 3 things that you should focus on. One of them is what makes you happy. What's the one thing which makes you very, very happy? This one, when I do it, I can do it and I find joy. It could be speaking to people like now. If it makes you happy, then begin that as part of your new approaches. It could be inventing. Can I join an innovation club? I like creating some new ideas. The second one is, what can I do without much effort? What can I do without much effort? If I want to do something without much effort, I have discovered that actually I'm a very good writer. So now, when I have like an hour sitting down, I can write some things, and I begin wondering whether I'm the one who wrote this at one time. So what to do with the minimal is, and can you use that as part of your the things you can begin on first. And the third one, which maybe I can add on, is the things that you love to do, and those that you can do with is, can you commercialize them? Can you make them into tangible products? If you love singing, can you design? Can you be a songwriter? Whatever you do, can you commercialize it? So if you either commercialize it or can you scale it, whatever model you can use, so you don't want to think about money. With those 3 things, then you begin to discover who you are, what makes you happy, what can you do with ease, and then you begin to define where you're going as a person. Because as long as you can know who you are and what you're here, the rest will end. Problems will cease that very day. You'll stop looking for jobs, you begin looking for what speaks to your career. You stop looking around for any opportunity that comes up. You begin looking for opportunities which only speak to your strength and to your career, and those which speak to who you are as a person. I think that's the comments I can give on that subject. Thanks so much, Hilder.
Thank you so much. I think I'm going to start. I'll go home today and think about the things that I love and how I can commercialize them. So I'll start monetizing my hobbies. And yeah, that's a very good take-home message. I have the 2 hands up. Then we can conclude the session. I have Mariam and Jackie Esimwe. So we're going to start with Mariam. Please unmute and you ask the question.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Mariam from Nakivara Rotary Club. Sorry, Moses, I'd like to know which job can you do without effort? I'm very confused about that. Can you give us an example?
Do we take them at once? Maybe Hilder can guide.
So we'll just have all the questions and then you can answer them. So we have from Jackie Esimwe. Please unmute and go ahead.
I had typed my question. I guess you didn't see it. I had asked both Lydia and Moses to share one oops, because these times were unprecedented for all of us. So is there any mistake they made along the way that they've learned from?
Oh, thank you so much. Sorry, I think I missed that in the chat. That's noted. The other, and then from Rona Christine, please go ahead, unmute and let us know what you have in mind.
Thank you so much. I want to ask Madam Hilder, how can we handle the pressure of relationships, like in regards to marriage, that pressure, like in this period where maybe your parents are pressurizing you, or your age, like your age also, your age group is pressurizing you to go into it, yet you as someone who knows what you want, you're not yet ready. How do we handle it? Because she's a lady and I think she knows what fellow ladies pass through. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Lydia or Moses, you can go ahead and answer the questions. I don't know if she said if Kristen, was it Kristen? If she was referring to Hilda or Lydia about the pressure regarding marriage and relationships. I think I'm not yet married, so Dr. Lydia will be
No,
the best.
I mean, I'm talking to Lydia.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I mean the pressure of we who are not yet married, then we are in that age, people are pressurizing us.
Okay, thank you so much for the question.
Okay. Do I go first?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You go first, and then Dr. Lydia will.
Thanks. What job can I do with minimal effort? There are majorly two. The first one I told you is writing. I can write with minimal effort, and as long as I just have our focusing, I'll just release something that you can't believe it came from me. The second one that I do is I love connecting with people as much as possible. And so give me any team, no matter background, just give me 1 week with them, I'll turn them into something different. That's what I just try to do. I just do them without, I don't want to force who I am, who I'm not. I just apply myself to things I can do with ease. But there are many others that I do that is possible we can catch up separately. What mistakes have I made? I must say mine was clear. And thanks, Jackie, for the question. Growing up very fast without, as I mentioned, when you enjoy success and you don't take some time to build.
Moses, I meant in the COVID times.
In the COVID times, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. One big one was Ali. I think Ali's last year. In the early days, most of our teams got disconnected. And as a leader in the early days, we got a bit disconnected, not able to connect much more than we should. And by the time we discovered, then we began having challenges coming up. We discovered someone is sick and maybe for 2 days you're not aware. And at my level, you should have been aware. And then you find yourself being able to force to deal with a crisis that you shouldn't have actually dealt with. Maybe you could have handled better. So that I think was the big one in the first time. And from that, we learned now, at least with me, myself, and my team, every week we must do a daily check-in. If I have a team of 200 people, every week at least I must know how each of them is. Either through me or through my team to get back to me to confirm that everybody is well. Also, too, is I ensure that at least every single month I have a meeting with my team, all of them, and I insist either talk to you or you must unmute, put video on so that I can be able to know if you're well, you're doing well. And number 3 is I try to do surprises. If I want to do my team and give a breakfast, I send the message to you directly from my phone, and I know you will respond to me directly. So you try to do many things to catch up on, but I believe being distant was a big lesson for myself and many other leaders. And I wouldn't want to go back that time because I believe it was very painful to know somebody is sick for 4 days and you're not aware. To be very, very tough. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you to Moses. Thank you.
I think I'll start with Jackie's question just to follow on from what Moses has said. I was trying to think of the oops. I regularly oops, but I think the one that really affected us, especially as a company, in the first one, a little bit like what Moses was saying. Loss of holding people accountable and the connection. And you're not quite sure where people are. And for us, that actually resulted in some business losses because we did not know whether people were actually doing what they said they would be doing. So this time around, we've learned a lot more about, especially through the 4DX book I was telling you about, having that regular accountability meeting where you actually, you promise what you're going to do and you actually report on whether you did it or not, how far you are. And it's done in a way that, yeah, it keeps a healthy tension there, but also it helps us to keep on top of things. I just love the humanity behind it, the checking in that Moses was saying. So I think that was for us, the biggest oops was letting things slide a bit. Maybe in terms of the pressure, I think this is Christine who asked this question. When people are pressurizing you to get married and right now you don't feel like it's your time or maybe you haven't found the right person. I've been there. As you might have guessed from all these studies that I did, I remember clocking 30. And at that point, I was at a friend's wedding as a bridesmaid. And she is exactly the same age as me, but only 1 week younger. And we had both sworn that we will be married by the time we are 30. Now, she got married a week before her birthday, but obviously, she got married on my birthday. And I was still single. And at that point, I was in the UK. And I remember coming home and speaking to my friends in the home cell, because the pressure is big. If you're a woman, especially people talk about the biological clock ticking, you yourself are beginning to think all your friends are now having babies and and for you, you haven't even met the young man or now the elderly man you're going to marry. But anyway, we were sort of, for me, it was actually coming to terms with who I am. A person who is a product of two cultures. I'd lived 19 years in the UK. I had lived the rest of my life here, very much a Ugandan, and also wanting to live here. And then the other thing, being a professional woman, I was told by one of my cousins that men are afraid of you because you drive your own car, you're a doctor. I said, driving a car, is that a problem? But he said, some of the young brothers are sort of thinking that you are too high for them. So I was saying to God, I need somebody who understands both sides of me and somebody who will not be freaked out by the fact that I drive a car. Thank God I met the chap who I actually met in P3, we got married late in life, but the pressure had been on. People were saying, at least have a kid. And from my faith background, I did not want to have a child without a husband in the picture. So pressures are there. How do you deal with them? First of all, be true to yourself and to your God, knowing where you want to go. Yes, the pain is there. Get with the idea that you yourself are enough. When you meet the next person that you're going to join your life with, you should go as a complete person, not as half of something, because 1 + 1 makes 1 when you get married. And you don't want somebody who's coming with baggage of feeling I need to cling on to this person to become something. So meanwhile, develop yourself, grow your circle of friends. Out of those people, you will meet somebody, and just keep with your interests. Because if you want to marry somebody, go where you think you'll find the person you like. If you're a dancer, get dancing, go and do salsa. All right, and a friend of mine got married through the salsa class. So yeah, so that's really, don't be pressurized. And I know peers are pressurizing us, but can I tell you what? They're not going to be there with you when you've married the wrong person. They're not going to be in that bedroom with you when you're stuck with somebody that you now cannot stand because what you really liked was his hair and now his hair has fallen off, okay? So those are some of the things that we, in marriage, we think about. It's important that you wait until you find the right person, but as you're waiting, you be the right person for somebody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that response about the pressure. So this is from the perspective of someone who has had the pressure, but is now happily married. And like she said, she cannot compromise her marriage and her family. And of course, the career. So she's not putting this one after the other. They are all so important. I think that is so inspiring for the rest of us who are not yet married, and we are joining. People call it level 3, 30s, and we're not yet married, and the pressure is very real. So you attend a party or a wedding party or a bridal shower, and then you're thinking, oh, but wait a minute. So internally, like, when is this going to happen? You know, that pressure, that pressure is actually there. Sometimes it's not from society. Sometimes it comes from within. So you were seeing everyone you went to school with in nursery, primary, high school, university, you even got a job together. Everybody's married. You're not. So, so I'll also tell Lydia that you have to acknowledge and really just feel what you feel, and just ignore people who are giving you the pressure, and take your time. So we've got I think we've got the best response from a woman who was in her 30s once, and and now is happily married. And I think that was a good response. You just have to be there and take things one day at a time. Thank you, Dr. Lydia.
You're welcome.
So so this has been a really wonderful session. Now I am going to call upon our host, Prudence, to take over from here, and also invite our chair, our Rotary Ladies Initiative, our Rotaract Ladies Initiative chair for the District 914 to give a vote of thanks. Prudence, are you? Prudence is the country chair for Roli for Uganda. So we have so many women here who are leaders.
Thank you very much, Hilda. I've really enjoyed the session, and I liked the last twist that came in. I saw Henry wanting more of the topic. Probably we could have Dr. Lydia again to talk about marriage and singlehood and waiting. And I think that would be really awesome for many of the youths here who are trying to balance a business, life, social life, and everything. Okay, thank you very much for the honors. I would like to invite our chairperson of Roli, and that is none other than Retractor Hamelinda from the Club of Young Professionals, Tanzania. Over to you, Hamelinda.
Wow, what an interesting discussion we have had. Good evening, everyone. Okay, I would like to extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our guests for today, Mr. Moses Rutahigwa and Dr. Lydia Mpanga Sebuyira, who spared their time this evening and share with us their insight and knowledge on leadership strategies for navigating through this COVID-19 pandemic. Your insights have enlightened our minds and show us a new path. Thank you, Mr. Moses and Dr. Lydia.
Okay, thank you very much, Hamelinda, for moving that vote of thanks to our guest speakers for the night. And ladies and gentlemen, as we close, because we're supposed to close at 4:30, and being very good timekeepers, would like to thank everyone who has tuned in today for our mentorship session. Hope you have learned a thing or two and hope you've been impacted. Feel free to follow us on our pages. That is our Twitter, it's at at Rotaract Ladies Initiative, District 9214. For all those needing today's recording, it will be posted there as soon as we finish this meeting. And kindly engage with us via our online platforms and also through our Raleigh officers, and let us know which topics you'd want us to come with in these mentorship sessions that are going to be happening at least once every month. Also, do not forget, tomorrow we are going to have our book review. Just maybe to give 2 minutes to Henry to just invite everyone for the book review. Henry, just in 1 minute. Okay. Looks like Henry dropped off the call he was on earlier. Oh, he is on. Henry Businge. Okay, looks like Henry can't unmute, but yes, tomorrow we shall have our book review for Fresh Waters. We've been reading Fresh Waters for this entire month. Kindly tune in and join us for the book review. Otherwise, right about now, I would like to request one of us also maybe to special recognition for all those I see Rotarian Konde from District 9210. Thanks very much for joining us for this session. And all our brothers and sisters from District 9213, thank you very much for joining us. Rotarians and special guests, non-Rotarians, non-Rotaractors, thanks a lot for joining us for today's session. And now I'd like to invite CMP Peter Katalemwa to give us a final toast. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It has been a wonderful engagement. It has been a wonderful afternoon. I'm already feeling the evening coming through. And I'd like us to toast for all the wonderful insights that our guest speakers have given us and to the wonderful discussions that we've had. I give you Rotary International.
Rotary world over.
Rotary world over. Rotary world over. Rotary world over. Rotary world over.
Rotary world over.
Rotary world over.
Rotary world over.
Rotary world over.